Woo! What's going on, guys? Orange Forum coming at you with another video. And this video is going to be talking about the Washington Commanders visiting the Detroit Lions Week 2 matchup, 1 p.m. Washington Commanders coming in at 1-0. We're 0-1 right now. Commanders had a tough game last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had to come back with some late heroics by Carson Wentz and won that football game. But we'll talk about that in a bit. But let's get down to the injury report. We'll talk about the Commanders. Very small injury report. They had some guys banged up during the week, but it looks like most of these guys are good to go. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen had a groin injury. I think he's going to be good to go. Right guard Trey Turner. He was a little bit banged up, I think, with the quad. He's good to go too. Linebacker Jamin Davis had something personal going on. He'll be good to go. And pretty much full practices for those guys. And then linebacker Cole Holcomb, a linebacker that I actually like on that team, had a quad limited. He says he's good to go. He'll be playing. Got a couple questionables, all safety. Cam Curl with a thumb, and then I think backup guard. I don't know if he's a backup guard now or if he starts. I'll have to look at that when I talk about the offensive line, but I think he's a backup. Wes Schweitzer, he has a hamstring. Got the questionable tag on those two guys. Pretty healthy coming into week 2 with these guys. Different story for us though, like as usual. With our injury report. Our injury report goes DeAndre Swift. He returned to practice today. He is a questionable tag. He says he's going with an ankle. Center Frank Ragnow did not practice. He is out officially. He got that groin. He played with that groin last week, and now I think he added another foot injury. So he's officially out. In comes probably Evan Brown, I'm assuming. Left guard Jonah Jackson was limited practice. He did practice though today, had a finger. He's got the questionable tag. Safety Ifieto Melifonwu, hamstring. He's a questionable tag as well. Guys that are going to be playing that will full practice are defensive tackle Michael Brockers, who had a knee, and left tackle Taylor Decker, who had a calf injury. He should be playing. And then there's Julian Okwara, who was a healthy scratch, I believe, last week. Had a full practice today on Friday with the hamstring. Seems to be going. Let's see if he dresses. We need some pass rush. So, and then another questionable tag added to the list is Amani Oruwariye, the cornerback. Did not practice today. Got that questionable tag with a back injury. That's like 4 or 5. Is that 4 or 5? I believe it's 4 Detroit Lions with back injuries. And I think there was an article out there today trying to figure out what's going on with the back injuries, but I don't know how they're going to figure that out, man. But it's 4 Detroit Lions with 4 back injuries. So, Vaitai being one of them, Tommy Kramer, Amani Oruwariye, Levi. So all these guys got back injuries. Let's try and clean that up, I guess. Now, if Amani Oruwariye can't go, expect Will Harris to start, and God help us. But he would probably be starting with, you might see Mike Hughes stepping out of that nickel cornerback role a few times and playing some outside corner. Bobby Price, another guy, needs to step up. Chase Lucas will probably get some more playing time. I think he dressed last week. I don't remember. I was at the game, so I don't remember if Chase Lucas played at all. I don't remember seeing him out there. But I can see him dressing this week with the guys banged up in the secondary. Now, if Jonah Jackson can't go because he's got a questionable tag as well too. They've been picking up some offensive linemen during the last couple of weeks. Drew Forbes is a guy they picked up from Cleveland, who's got some very limited playing time. And then another guy, Coyote Awosika, I got that name right. And he's a guy that could get a look too. Dan Campbell came out and said if Jackson can't go, they're going to take hard looks at Forbes and Awosika. So this has got danger written all over it. This has got danger written all over it, man. It's already bad enough that Stenberg's in there for Vaitai. Stenberg can't pass block to save his life. Evan Brown did play pretty well last year in replacing Ragnow when he went down as well. Then if we lose another guard, you're going to get a guy in there, man, that just probably has no business starting, being Forbes or Eosika. So, and we're going up against a team that's really strong up the middle on the D line. Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne, and we'll get on that in a bit. But I'm going to let's talk about this Commanders roster. Quarterback Carson Wentz, an up and down quarterback. You don't really know what you're going to get week in, week out for him. But when he gets in a groove, look out. And their backups are Taylor Heineke and Sam Howell. They got 3 guys. Don't really know much about Sam Howell at the professional level, but college, he was an up and down guy. Really used his legs last year. But he can sling the rock. Kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Baker Mayfield in college. I think a little more rugged, a little more physical Baker Mayfield. But and then they got Taylor Heineke, who's got some starting experience as well, who's had some big games for Washington. And so they got 3 quarterbacks right there, man. Got some trade bait anyways. And then they got running back Antonio Gibson. Don't sleep on this kid. He's a former wide receiver, kind of played wide receiver in college. Does everything well, and can catch the ball, run the ball well. And then J.D. McKissick, man, a former Lion too, really nice out of the backfield catching the ball. Not a great runner, but really nice catching the ball. Then they got really good wide receiver core with Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, Curtis Samuel, kind of using that Debo role a little bit, rushes the ball a lot. Jahan Dotson, the rookie out of Penn State, who I liked a lot, had two touchdowns last week. And then Cam Sims, kind of their 4th or 5th wide receiver right there. And then tight end, Logan Thomas. When healthy, Logan Thomas is a problem, another former Lion. John Bates is a guy, basically can use him in the run game. And then they got a rookie named Cole Turner, who didn't play last week versus Jacksonville, but he's got some talent. He's a big body at 6'6", 240 pounds. He was a receiving threat at Las Vegas, Nevada. He was with the Wolfpack. His last 2 years were really nice, man. He scored like 20 touchdowns his last 2 years at the college level. So he's a guy that could get used in this offense. All around, I like this offense. I think their weakest link is their O-line. They got a decent O-line though, but it's not that strong. Center Chase Roulier, left guard Andrew Norwell, right guard Trey Turner, who used to play for the Steelers. Right tackle Sam Cosme, and then left tackle Charles Leno Jr., who can be beat. Not the strongest O-line, but they got some weapons to make up for it. And then their D-line I really like a lot. Defensive end Montez Sweat, who can get to the quarterback. Numbers went down a little bit last year because Chase Young got hurt, but he's a guy that can still get to the quarterback. Defensive end James Smith-Williams, and then defensive end Casey Toohill. They got one really good defensive end in Sweat. So and then this is where I think they're really strong. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, and then defensive tackle Darren Payne. 2 beasts that can play the run and get to the quarterback. They could be problems. The defensive tackle F.A. Obata, defensive tackle Daniel Wise. Yeah, that's his name. My writing's terrible, but that's I really like them up front, in the middle. It's a good D line. Not an overall great defense, but it's a pretty good D line. There's no Chase Young, so Allen and Payne are pretty much their forces on that D line. And then linebacker, the kid I talked about a little bit earlier, Cole Holcomb, is going to be playing a little bit injured with a quad injury, but he's going to play. I like him. He's a tackling machine. He makes some plays. Look out for that kid. And then Jamin Davis, and then David Mayo. Not the greatest of linebackers overall, but I really like Holcomb. And then DB, cornerback Kendall Fuller, and then cornerback William Jackson III, who they put some money into. Those 2 guys. Fuller's probably their number 1, I'm assuming. The quarterback Benjamin St. Juste, and then safety Cameron Curl, who's playing a little bit banged up. He's got a questionable tag, might not even play, but we'll see. And then safety Bobby McCain. And then look out for a kid named safety Derek Forrest. Look for that kid. Last week he had forced fumble, 2 pass breakups, 5 tackles, and a pick. He was all over the field. He was playing though for Cameron Curl, but having a nice debut like that, I'm sure he'll get some playing time this Sunday coming up. So Jared Goff needs to know where that kid is if that kid's on the field, because that kid's a playmaker. We already talked about the injury report. Now let's talk about the game, man. Now let's talk about this Washington offense versus our Lions defense. Now, like I said, they got 5 ballers. 5 ballers in my opinion. That's McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson. Who are the other guys that I'm missing? Antonio Gibson, McLaurin Samuel, Jahan Dotson, and then Logan Thomas. 5 guys who I like a lot on this team. Logan Thomas is a Band-Aid, but when healthy, he's a really good tight end. McLaurin, he's their big play guy. He got the speed, the Ohio State product. Curtis Samuel, another Ohio State product, teammates actually. And the Curtis Samuel's your kind of like your Debo role, like I said earlier. He's the guy that rushes the football. They get him the ball. They get him the ball at the line of scrimmage, short passes, and they let him do work. He reminds me a lot of Debo. Not saying he is Debo, but he reminds me a ton of Debo Samuel. And then Jahan Dotson, man, got some speed, good route runner, good hands. He had 2 touchdowns last week. So they need to really be careful with this offense, this Lions defense. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball. They need to get into Carson Wentz's face. If they don't, I think he's going to pick them apart. We saw last week what the Lions did. They got into the backfield, just couldn't contain Hurts. Carson Wentz is not Jalen Hurts, but does have a little bit of movement to him, but he's not Hurts. So they should be able to get to him. I'm calling 4 or 5 sacks. They just need to. I think they need to get to him. This is one of those games that I think they're probably pissed off they didn't get to Jalen Hurts and finish. But this is one of those games where they need to do that because Wentz will pick him apart. Antonio Gibson will have a day. Lions love the blitz. So you can see a lot of short passes to Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson out of the backfield, Logan Thomas. I expect those guys to have big games, and then they're going to hit them high with guys like, obviously Dotson, obviously McLaurin, who's their speed guy. So it's an offense that doesn't play around. Their weakness, I think, their weakness is their offensive line. They can be exploited a little bit. You do some stunts on them, blitz them, confuse them. And then you get to Wentz, you get in his face. Wentz makes mistakes. He's done it his whole career. He's had some big years though, and obviously some big games, but it's a guy that you can get in his head. If you get in Wentz's head, it's over. And then he starts making mistakes. He did it last week versus Jacksonville. Back-to-back picks. They had to come back, but he did settle in and came back in the fourth quarter and won the football game. So you got to be careful with him, man, because if he gets in a groove, then he's dangerous. So you just got to blitz him, get him, hit him hard, hit him high. You know what I mean? Don't hit him low. Just get in his face, man. So their offense is nice. I like their offense. And then let's talk about the Lions offense versus the Washington defense. Now, the Washington defense, like I said, their D-line, I think, is their strength, especially up the middle. Doesn't mean you don't run at them. Doesn't mean you don't run, period. You have DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, Craig Reynolds if needed, because Swift's a little bit banged up, so you might be using 3 guys on Sunday. But they need to run the football. They need to run the football. It's their bread and butter. It's what they do well. Now, with our O-line situation, though, this game could end up being so disastrous for the Lions, and it scares me. It actually scares me because we could have 3 guys in there that really have no business being in there. Evan Brown I liked last year, but he's a backup. You got Logan Stenberg in there. We're on our third reserve guard, and then possibly Jonah Jackson could be sitting. It looks like he's questionable. He did practice today, so I think he's going to be playing. But we might be seeing guys like Forbes and Awosika in there. That gives me heart palpitations. That scares me to death. Now, like I said, watch out for that D-line. They could be exploiting that, especially right up the middle. Lions got to be careful. A lot of dump offs I see. Just almost kind of like the same game plan Washington should have. The Commanders love the blitz too. I think they blitzed Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars like 22 times last week. So they love the blitz. They love to help out their corners and their safeties. Making the quarterback throw errant throws, getting in his face, blocking off passing lanes. So that's what they really like to do, right? So, and Goff, when you get in Goff's face, he panics. He did it last week. You can talk about Hawk's bad route or whatever. Goff shouldn't have thrown that football with pressure in his face like that. It was just all around bad on Goff, Stenberg, and Hawk. It was just all around a bad throw, bad blocking, bad route, whatever it was, miscommunication. It was just bad. But if you get in Goff's face, it's problems. And that's what the Commanders are going to want to do. They're going to want to get in his face. And I'm a little bit nervous about it. Their linebackers are not great, though. Like I said, I liked Cole Holcomb. I really do like that kid. 5th-round pick. I believe he's on a contract year, too. Lions should be looking possibly at maybe getting this guy next year. I do like him a lot. But Holcomb can play. He can play. He's kind of an all-around guy. He plays the run well. He can cover a little bit. But he's just a really good linebacker. Now, last week, Christian Kirk had a huge day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I expect somebody like DJ Chark, maybe a Josh Reynolds, to have a bigger game than they did last week, even though Chark really had a nice game with the 4 or 5 catches, 50-something yards, 60 yards, and a touchdown. But they really used Christian Kirk last week. He had like over 100-something yards, bunch of catches. They ran the ball pretty well against the Commanders as well, too. Jacksonville did. So I believe James Robinson had a nice yards per carry, and so did Travis Etienne. But Etienne didn't really be used much in the ground game. But they ran well against them. I think they ran for either over 100 or close to 100 yards, but yards per carry were pretty high for Jacksonville. So you can exploit that defense. You got to be careful up the middle. You got to be careful where Darren Payne and Jonathan Allen are. It's really tricky because those guys can get to the quarterback, they can play the run, and they'll be ragdolling guys like Drew Forbes and Iwasika. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that's what really worries me. Stenberg in the run game, I love. I can put him up against a lot of guys. But when it comes to pass blocking for him, it's dangerous. I want really nothing to do with it. And I don't think Jared Goff does either, because he gets blown out of the water when he has to pass block. That's been known about him since he's been in the league. It was known by him when he was at Kentucky. So they just need to be really careful. Evan Brown, they need to communicate, they need to get on board. I hope Jonah Jackson plays. I really hope he plays. Bragnow's not in, and then we got our third guy in at right guard at Stenberg, and that scares me. But I expect the Detroit Lions to win this football game. I do. They're favored in this game, and I don't want to be drinking the Kool-Aid, but they're at home. The atmosphere should be maddening again. It should be loud. You know, Jacksonville really gave these guys a game last week, and I'm not putting down Jacksonville. That's because I have no right to. Because we're just as good or bad as the Jacksonville Jaguars, personally. And I think they might even have a better defense, but who knows? Who knows right now? But I really like the additions they did, but that's not even what we're talking about. But we can exploit this team as an offense. We can exploit their defense, I think. We just got to be really careful where Payne, Allen, and probably Holcomb are. That's what really kind of concerns me. Other than that, man, we can use their secondary. You know, Hoxton should have a big game. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Swift, bounce them out to the outside. And I'm picking the Lions to win this game 30-24. And if they don't win, I'm gonna flip. Like, I'm gonna flip out. Like, and it's not like I'm expecting, like, have high expectations for this team. I just think, you know, they played I'm not gonna say they played well last week. They just kept it really close. They fought tooth and nail. Found a way to lose, though, last week. But they played a hyped-up Philadelphia Eagles team that some people are picking to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl or get close. And they took them to 3 points. Scored a lot of points against them. I don't see why the Lions can't score at least 30-plus against these Commanders. And then our defense is going to have to step up a bit. Because Washington's offense could score. They can. They can really score, especially if you give Wentz time. Give Wentz time, that's problems. You got to get to him. And Hutchinson, man, hopefully he has a sack or two so people can shut up about him. Or just play a good game, you know. Create pressure. Just do what you got to do, Hutchinson. We know what you're capable of, so let's go. But Lions, 30-24. The Lions are going to win this game. I just feel they're going to win it, man. I feel they're going to win it, and I think it's a must-win because you can't go down 0-2, even though I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. But when you go down 0-2, you have pretty much a very, very, I think the percentage is like, it's 12% chance, maybe even less, to make the playoffs. From what I heard, I think it was a stat I heard last week. or sometime this week. So they got to get Carson Wentz and they got to get a victory on board, go 1-1. But that's the video, guys. 30-24. I expect big games from Hawk, Swift. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Your usual guys, and it, either Chark or Reynolds are going to have a really big game. One of those guys are going to have a really big game. Let's say DJ Chark. But thanks, guys. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button at the bottom right. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, get on my videos. And don't forget to like and comment this. Share it out. Go Lions. One pride, baby. Let's go. Boom.